Christmas time, I like to make beef braciolla for Christmas dinner. It's a steak with cold cuts and seasonings all wrapped up inside and cooked in a tomato sauce. This video was inspired by Dave Berge. With beef braciolla, you can either start with flank steak or with sandwich steaks. It's a little bit easier if you start with sandwich steaks. They're usually eye round. I'll show you about how thick they are. So they're, a sandwich steak about yay thick. That's probably a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. And then basically you do this to all of them. You put them on a cutting board. And by doing this, they end up being about twice the size that you started with. Flip it one more time. So here's a visual difference. The one on the right has been pounded, the one on the left has not. So you see it about doubles in size, maybe even a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to toast some pine nuts and a little butter on the pan. Be careful not to burn them. I use maybe a half a dozen per braciolla. Okay, I've laid the steaks out on a sheet of plastic wrap on top of my island, and we're going to get ready to season them, first with salt and pepper. Okay, after the salt and pepper I put on crushed garlic. I buy this product at Trader Joe's. They come already crushed in little ice cubes, and I'll use about 1 ice cube, or one, which is equivalent to 1 clove, to about every 3 braciolla. And so then after that you might see that I've added parsley and a little bit of onion powder because I don't like pieces of onion in my braciolla. And then next I'm going to add the toasted pine nuts. I'm going to add some fennel seed and a little bit of breadcrumbs. Okay, you can see the addition of the pine nuts and also the fennel seeds. I try to spread them across this way so that when you roll it up there's a fennel seed in each slice or each bite. You can also see I've got the Romano cheese on there. You can also use Parmesan or a combination of both. So now I've added a liberal amount of raisins towards the bottom. Raisins are delightful in braciolla. They really set them apart. It's a little sweet, soft yumminess in the middle of a delicious, salty braciolla. And so by putting them on one end, when I roll them, I'll start at the end with the raisins, and then the raisins will be in the center of the braciolla when you cut it open. Before adding the breadcrumbs, I've decided to put on my cold cuts. I typically just use 1 nice slice of capicola. I like the hot capicola. And then that'll all be rolled up as well. And now I'm going to put my breadcrumbs and maybe another layer of cheese and a little bit of spinach on top of this. Okay, breadcrumbs applied. You can see I pretty much covered the cold cuts and the top of the braciolla. Now I'm going to sprinkle on the cheese. Like that. So now I've added a little bit more cheese on top of the cold cut. I've put on some fresh baby spinach. I'm going to get ready to roll these babies up. The way you do that is I usually do it with one hand, but I'm holding the camera with the other. So you just pick it up and sort of fold that first edge in. And you roll them fairly tightly because you're going to cook these for a good 4 hours in the sauce, or the gravy I should say. And so you get it rolled up like that. And then I'm going to stick a toothpick in to hold it together. I'm actually going to use 3. 1 in the center and 1 on each end. So I'm going to need 2 hands for that. And that's your beef braciolla. Okay, so this one's completed. It's got 3 toothpicks in it. You can see I try to pinch the ends as best I can to keep the meat and the spices and stuff in. As long as you don't stir them too vigorously in the gravy, they stay pretty well. And by cooking them for a long time, it tenderizes this beef, because flank steak is not known to be tender, although it is very flavorful. So now we'll put them in the gravy. Okay, braciollas are in the pan with the gravy. I'm going to stir them so they're all covered. And then I'm going to put a lid on that pan, run it at a very low temperature, and let these simmer for 3, 4, 5 hours. That should be great. So we keep a low boil on the sauce like that, and I keep it covered. It's about an hour and I can already smell garlic. That's a good smell.